from October 28th to 30th. It's the rainy season, which means greater potential for flooding, natural disasters and other emergencies. It's why the Division of Infrastructure, Quarries and Urban Development has ramped up its drainage and river works with the goal of mitigating flooding and possible erosion. Ryan McCool explains in this report.
The Division of Infrastructure, Quarries and Urban Development has begun its annual desilting works. It's cleaning watercourses within communities from the month of June through to August.
The desilting program falls under a greater quality stormwater management plan, and that's how we handle surface runoff from rainfalls. Now, one of the aims or targets of the stormwater management is flood mitigation.
According to DIQUD's specialist civil engineer, Kevin Trustrell, flooding occurs where unwanted water flows and accumulates in a normally dry area. In Trinidad and Tobago, there are 4 types of floods. Urban flooding occurs in developed urban areas where hard surfaces such as concrete and roads impede natural drainage. Coastal flooding, caused by storm surges coupled with rising tides directing water back into land. Riverine flooding, where riverbanks overflow causing floodwaters. And then there are the infamous flash floods.
This occurs unexpectedly. Once you have rainfall, you get a flash flooding in several areas.
The Infrastructure Division has already determined a number of contributing factors that lead to floods. Intense rainfall over a short period of time, prolonged rainfall over an average 3-day period, and the human factor.
We have unplanned development, and this captures a lot of people constructing homes on riverbanks, by the seaside. We have deforestation. Persons in the habit of trying to carry out slash and burn agriculture. And once you clear the land from all vegetation, the water runs off at a lot faster rate, and this will lead to flooding as well.
The division's desilting program aims to remedy these occurrences.
What the program entails, we go through with machinery in watercourses. We target the watercourses that are close to villages, in villages, and watercourses that cross our main roads. And what we do is try to take out any debris that we see. We try to shape over the watercourse, and we generally try to increase the capacity.
Mr. Trustrell maintains that despite preparations, once in every 20 to 50 years, severe floods can occur. But he says the division stands ready to intervene.
In that case, we lean more towards our response to these things in terms of TEMA and the other agencies, fire service, even the IQUD itself. We respond with our equipment and assistance to persons.
The Infrastructure Division's desilting program will be visible in Mason Hall, Scarborough, Canaan Bonaccord, Charlottesville, and Speyside. I'm Ryan McCool for Let's Talk.
It is a major boost for the Speyside High School Steel Orchestra, which won the Tobago House of Assembly's Panorama School Competition from 2010 to 2015, as well as the Windward Junior Extravaganza Pan Competition from 2010 to 2016, and the Speyside Steel Sensations Band. They got a sizable donation of steel pans recently. Our cameras were there for the handing over ceremony, so we could bring you this story. Have a look.
The Speyside High School Steel Orchestra and Speyside Steel Sensations recently got a well-timed boost. A gift of $130,000 worth of steel pans. The pans will help the members continue to make their mark on the national music scene. It's in line with the school's mission to facilitate the holistic development of its students.
And in order for that to happen, we have to have resources and we have to have opportunities. Right? Now, today we are going to be blessed with a very expensive gift. Students, very expensive gift. And the best way that we could show appreciation for that is the care.
Because of our legacy, and as the Chief Sec indicated, in homage to Mr. Titus, we believe that it's our duty to carry on the legacy of the band. We have a rich legacy, having won various competitions and a lot of talent, and it's just to preserve that and pass it on to upcoming students.
The donation was made by pan maker, tuner, and the manager of NGC Steel Explosion, Aaron Anthony.
Today, I felt real proud because, you know, this thing never happened before. When you ask for a donation, the captain of the band will give you an old pan or an old guitar pan or old bass. Yeah? I work on these pans for about 5-6 months. We need a chrome factory in Tobago so we could export pans. And we need a national band of 35 players, divided boys and girls, so they could be employed at $4,000 when the month come, and they could play, and the money they made could go into an assembly fund. So you're not doing nothing for them; they're helping themselves.
Chief Secretary Honorable Farley Augustine was once the band's manager. Here's his take on the donation.
I am happy and I'm grateful that I could be here in another role. Had I not have the role of Chief Secretary, I most likely would have been in the role of teacher. I might have been hosting this function, but I'm happy I could be in another role as Chief Secretary to stand here with our resident pan tuner, Mr. Deuce, who has given to us quite a noteworthy gift. I mean, it was said before, the value of the gift, $130,000. $130,000 is difficult to come by. It's not an easy amount of money. And this is a labor of love.
Honorable Augustine has this challenge for all members.
Mr. Titus must go down in history as the person who helped to push our pan side to where it is now. And I'm charging those who are still here and responsible, Ms. Griffith and others, that we have to get the pan side back up and running in time for competitions for February next year.
For Let's Talk Tobago, I'm Marina Elaine.
We have to take a break, but do not go anywhere. Let's Talk Tobago. We'll be right back. Stay with us. Welcome back to Let's Talk Tobago. Indian Arrival Day is celebrated on May 30th. Of course, it commemorates the arrival of the first group of indentured laborers from India to Trinidad in May 1845. This year's celebration was held at the Scarborough Esplanade, and the East Indian community got a special thank you for its contributions to national society. Here's more in this story.
Trinidad and Tobago had another reason to celebrate its colorful history recently, Indian Arrival Day. It's celebrated on May 30th to commemorate the arrival of the first group of indentured laborers from India to Trinidad in May 1845. Chief Secretary Honorable Farley Augustine joined the East Indian community during Tobago celebrations. He says he's proud of how much East Indian descendants achieved over the years.
For us in Tobago, we wish to celebrate with the East Indian community not just your arrival to this country, but as Dr. Boris said, your presence in this country. Your presence in this country has led to leadership across the country, to many luminaries across the country, to captains of industries across the country, to significant scientific gains within the country, to academic achievements within the country. And so you must be proud of what your community has been able to achieve, and proud of what your community has been able to contribute to the landscape that is Trinidad and Tobago.
Trinidad and Tobago is noted within the Caribbean region for its ethnic, religious, and cultural diversity. The country encourages respect of persons regardless of sex, race, ethnicity, religion, or disability. This emphasis comes, in part, due to the various cultural influences that have helped to shape our islands.
Days like today must remind us of the need to work together as Caribbean peoples in ensuring that we improve our economic fortunes. For every new generation that comes, they must experience something greater than we had. We can indeed work together to build out a country that is a lot more resilient and a lot stronger.
The ceremony was held at the Scarborough Esplanade. I'm Kian Walker Hazel for Let's Talk Tobago.
Disaster preparedness is no laughing matter. It requires all of us to be vigilant and prepared to act in the face of an emergency. It's why the Tobago Emergency Management Agency, or TEMA, joined forces on a public education caravan on safety, part of this year's National Disaster Prevention and Preparedness Month. Here's more.
We're here at the Portmore Lower Scarborough, where the final disaster caravan is being held in commemoration of National Prevention and Preparedness Month for the month of May.
This is a very good initiative that has been put on by the National Disaster Preparedness Month Committee. It's a collaborative effort across Trinidad and Tobago, so we're collaborating with the ODPM and their stakeholders, with Tobago, with our stakeholders, to make sure that we are passing on as much information as we could to the public to ensure that they are ready for this upcoming hurricane season.
The NDPPM initiative is now in its third year. ODPM CEO, retired Major General Rodney Smart, is elated over the impact of the caravan.
We have done both in-person lectures, we've done webinars, and we've done activities including the evacuation of schools. We've also done for the fisher folk. We've put on a seminar, and boy, they enjoyed it. So it has been growing, it's becoming better, and every year we hope to continue to make sure that we pass on this knowledge and we get the people of Trinidad and Tobago more prepared for not just the hurricane season, but for any disaster.
The Trinidad and Tobago Fire Service, the TT-Met Service, the National Commission for Self-Help Limited, and the Division of Health, Wellness and Social Protection were also on site to bring crucial information to the public.
Over to the side, we essentially have the grab and go bag. It is, as it says, it's a grab and go. So ideally you will have your change of clothes for a 3-day period as well. Your personal care items, you try to have a first aid kit on hand. Note that you also want to have sanitizing items as well. We are still in the COVID period. So this is what we are trying to promote at this time.
Over the fire service booth were demonstrations of very cool search and rescue equipment, such as infrared goggles and this device used to locate victims in difficult spaces.
Right, what we have here is called a search camera. Right? We use this for rescue in collapsed structures, confined spaces, and you could also use it in water as well.
To catch highlights or information from the National Disaster Prevention and Preparedness Month, visit the ODPM or TIMA on Facebook. I'm Ryan McCool for Let's Talk Tobago.
Karen Forbes, captain of the Trinidad and Tobago women's football team, is always proud to be on the football field doing what she loves. But this time, she's not in the center of the action. She recently hosted the Kick It with Karen football tournament, which attracted football enthusiasts from across Tobago as well as the Sister Isle. You'll find out more in this story. Listen up.
Karen Forbes is Tobago born, a Plymouth native and captain of the Trinidad and Tobago women's senior football team. She's also playing her part in the development of the sport. Karen recently hosted Kick It with Karen, a 2-day football tournament in her hometown. The event is aimed at showcasing the island's football talent and also to show the positive side of the seaside village.
Coming out of the village of Plymouth, Plymouth have a stigma of, always this ghetto thing and those kind of things. And I think it's a great thing to show that, good things could come out of Plymouth.
The tournament previously began as a 1-day affair, but over the years, it's attracted more football enthusiasts. So naturally, it has expanded. And from the look of things, the sport is definitely growing on the island.
What we did, we would have started, the first year we started this competition, it was a 1-day competition. But because of the magnitude of the competition, we decided that we're going to do it 2 days and see how it goes. So this is the second year that we kept it for 2 days. And so far, it has been drawing like massive crowds. So later on in the evening, you see more people start to show up at the event.
And this year, it seems to be like better than ever. Seems to be better than ever. I hope everybody come out and let us enjoy ourselves. It's a beautiful, beautiful day.
This year is my first year in this event, and this is one of the best things I've seen in Tobago for a long time. This is a great initiative because when we are talking about community building, this is one of the things that actually will build community. I'm hoping that Tobagonians support this event much more because this is a seed that has been planted and we need to water that seed that it can grow.
In the end, Winning the top prize in the female category was unknown, a mix of ex-nationals and current players. The Frontline Empire team from Trinidad won the men's category. I'm Megan Wallace for Let's Talk Tobago.
In our final story, we'll shed some light on cerebral palsy in the series I Am Able, Just Differently. It's up next right after this break when Let's Talk Tobago returns. Stay with us. In this episode of I Am Able, Just Differently, we shine a light on cerebral palsy. Now, this condition affects movement, muscle tone, and posture. In this story, we meet Genesis Okubosa, who has been navigating life with cerebral palsy with the support of her mother, Liesel. Omadara Mills shares their experiences in this story. Have a look.
Not because she's differently able, that means I have to hide her away. When you say special, a lot of people don't understand what that special means. See the child and not the chair. See the child. I realized that she couldn't hold herself up. Whatever you put her on the chair as a toddler, you would have to put cushions to support her. You would always have to tilt the head. You would always put in cushions to completely surround her to support her. And I knew that something was wrong because, I've been with children for all of my life. So I knew that something was off with her development. Because with cerebral palsy is a group of disorders that affects a person's, the way how they move, their ability to move, their posture and their balance. The emotions were so high. I was totally broken because I said to myself, I remember one of the things I used to always ask God, why? God, why? I've been taking care of so many children for so many years, and now I have my child. My one child, you just give me a special child. God, what really going on? And as a parent of special needs, that's the first stage you have to go through. When you go through that stage and you go through the other stage, which is acceptance. So in that stage, you would have many nights crying. You're blaming yourself for every little thing. You just feel like if you're going all crazy because you just can't understand why you. But you know what? Why you? Why me? Why not me? Why not me? God chose one of his best because he know I can handle it. Because he know he will be there to back me up to deal with it. Every day is a bright moment with a child so beautiful as Genesis. Every day is a bright moment. Everybody can tell you that. Her teachers, her principals, the past principal, even the one now, even the bus drivers of her school that she attends, the gardeners, everybody, the cleaners, everybody can tell you she's such a joyful person. When you say special, a lot of people don't understand what that special means. Special, you have to take more time with that child to do everything. So it's not, come here, sit down here, hurry up, hurry up, hurry up. No, you have to take time with the child. Adrenaline rush comes more when I see how far she has reached, how much she has progressed, because this is a child that couldn't hold herself up. Now if you tell her, Genesis, lap your legs, she's gonna lap her legs like the perfect queen, you know. You know, you tell her, Genesis, write your name, she couldn't write before. She would write her name. Genesis, read this book for me. She can read it because she's on social media by herself. Evidently, she has to do a lot of reading in order to navigate. So all those are really bright moments for me because I see how far she has come in her life. Not because she's differently able, that means I have to hide her away. How could I do such a thing? God was the one that blessed me with this child, you know. God was the one that blessed me with this child, and I have to accept. I've already accepted her, and I love her beyond words can ever even surface. But she needs to enjoy her life. And if I am her mother and I'm not taking her places, then how will she know outside? See the child and not the chair. See the child. See her for who she is. Embrace the person. Forget the chair. Embrace the person. For other children with different disabilities, accept them. Show them love. Be kind to them. Respect them. Support them. Be there for them. Encourage them. However way you can motivate them, inspire them, be a good memory in that child's life. Be a good person in that child's life.
So we've come to the end of yet another edition of Let's Talk Tobago, and as always, we thank you for watching. Please email us with your comments or queries about the program, and be sure to visit our website, like our Office of the Chief Secretary Facebook page, follow us on Instagram and Twitter, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. From our house to yours, I'm Avia Chambers, along with the Department of Information, Office of the Chief Secretary, Tobago House of Assembly, wishing you a safe and fantastic week. We leave you with a montage of the Division of Settlements, Public Utilities and Rural Development's internal small goal competition. Do enjoy.
Pre-qualification notice deadline 30th June 2022. The Tobago Regional Health Authority (TRHA) is updating its current list of pre-qualified contractors, suppliers, consultancy firms and sole traders to ensure compliance with the mandate of the procurement regulations of Trinidad and Tobago. All interested contractors and suppliers desirous of entering into business arrangements with the TRHA are invited to engage in the pre-qualification of suppliers registration process. For more information, visit the following link: trha.page.link/tenders.
MI4 Security Services Company is the most advanced security service in Tobago. Ask about our cash in transit service. It's safe, risk-free, reliable, and timely. We provide safe banking delivery for all business types and sizes with highly trained staff, 24/7 monitoring, coordinated emergency response, and a well-maintained fleet of armored vehicles. Contact us at 660-7723 or visit our website at www.mi4securitytt.com to sign up today.
Tobago Glass Supplies has been a leading name for over 37 years in the glass and aluminum market in Tobago. We provide an extensive range of high-quality, innovative aluminum and glass products for commercial and residential use. Competitive prices with superior and professional services by committed employees who are guided by rigid quality standards. Tobago Glass Supplies specializes in the manufacture and installation of glass and aluminum products that are essential to today's homeowners and the business environment. We are engaged in marketing, sales, and installation of a variety of products. These ranges from windows and doors to necessities such as mirrors for homes and vehicles, designed and manufactured in-house or imported.
Opulence Promotion takes you to a musical paradise with Utopia. On Sunday, June 19th, the Buku Historical Park would come alive from 2 to 10 p.m. as TNT's most versatile jazz, reggae, soca, and Afrobeat artists grace the stage. Indulge in Tobago's rich cuisine and be captivated by pieces from Tobago's creative artisans at Utopia, the hybrid jazz experience, a fusion of music, food, and art. Tickets available online at islandetickets.com, in stores at Penny Saver Supermarket Canaan, Guy's AutoZone, Pure Vanity Lowlands. Call 716-6797 for more information.
Good morning. Good morning, put a smile on your Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning, morning. Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning, morning. Good morning.
Good morning, viewers. It's 7 a.m. and this is the Tobago Updates, a morning show coming to you here live from the Port Mall in Scarborough. As we continue to give God thanks for life, I am Julian Skeet.
And I am Maria Richardson George, and this is the day that the Lord has made, and we will rejoice and be glad in it. Good morning to Tobago, good morning Trinidad, those of you in the Caribbean, and those of you viewing us on the live. Good morning. Julian Skeet, good morning.
Ria, good morning, Ria.
How have you been?
Tuesday, the 7th of June.
It is.
And I swear, these days just appear to be running along. These days just appear to be running along fast and furious. Ria, what do we see happening in this space with regards to, we just had recent discussions following what was some, as I want to term it, preliminary increases with the discussions, surrounding the Public Service Association and so on. And I say preliminary because I want to believe, as I heard in news clip responses from the Chief Secretary indicating that, that appears to be what one would describe as a starting point. To facilitate discussions and more so to facilitate the negotiations.
Yeah, definitely, and we've been hearing about that. We've been hearing about that, and so some questions surrounding why, how much would come to mind. The Minister Hines saying that no salary increase for police, and
and that goes even further. It transcends from one. When you thought 2% was bad, you move to the situation of none. And the question is, just as you rightfully said, why? Why, and particularly in these times? You see, my challenge is, yes, we understand that we're coming out of a pandemic with much challenges and circumstances before us. We've also got to understand the concern of the individual out there in our society, and the fact that the price has gone up on most, if not all items, in various aspects of life.
Yes.
And therefore, it's difficult to expect one to be able to survive. And I want to go one step further, even in circumstances where you no longer have both persons in the household working. There's a chance even in extended homes that someone has lost their job. So it becomes an even more difficult kind of situation to survive. Imagine if that person was contributing to the rent.
Right, or the mortgage.
Or the mortgage under those circumstances. It becomes a very kind of challenging thing. And then you say, oh, everything else has gone up, but hold up, we're not able to increase your salaries at this time. it begs the question. We have to find a way. We have to find a way to deal with it in as best a situation as possible, because it is becoming more and more challenging for persons to be able to survive in 2022.
Most definitely. And I'm saying here, go back to planting. And we've been talking about this, Julian, for some time now. Go back to gardening, go back to farming, go back to the basics. All right, there was a time when we could have afforded to go to the grocery and buy meat, vegetables, everything. Now we have to offset some expenses. Grow your own food, rear your own chickens or your meat or whatever. You go back to basics. All right, and you might be able to offset some of the bills that way. Eat what you grow.
I suppose that's the kind of challenge that one has to be faced with. We want to also issue that continued reminder out there, particularly in the school spaces and environments, in terms of encouraging our students to really strive to be as responsible as possible. I want to commend this morning our teachers. I particularly want to highlight and to commend our teachers because I was in conversation yesterday and I said to myself, you probably have to say social distance about 10 times during the school day for children to listen 5 times, and then you have to repeat it another 10 for them to get it another 5. So I really want to commend our teachers there that continue to stick to it and to impress upon our children as they are within the school's care during the course of the day, for the majority of the day that is, in terms of really seeking from every possible angle keep them as safe as possible. And I want to encourage our parents as well to get the practice going at home, so that by the time they're out in the school environment, they're able to maintain that level of responsibility.
All right. So next we've got coming up.
We got some birthdays. We got some birthdays on the lineup. We got some birthdays on the lineup this morning. All right, and as we start this morning's birthday lineup, we start off with Marsha Ramsey Louis. Some of you know her in the media. Some of you know her in terms of in the industry with regards to beauty and fashion. So this morning we send a birthday shout out to Marsha Ramsey Louis. Wish you a happy birthday, coming from the Tobago Updates family. Here's Miss Deborah Williams, my very good friend out there.
My good friend, yes.
Yes, and I also worked with her, before retirement, and I really want to commend and to say hello and birthday shout outs to Miss Deborah Williams. We are vibrant as ever. You'd never believe she's past 60. Never believe that at all.
She looks very well.
Very well indeed. And if you don't know this gentleman in the realm of fitness, I should say, this is Doniel Extreme Fitness Vincent. And we want to wish you a happy birthday, Doniel, coming from the Tobago Updates family. Trust that you have an enjoyable one. The birthday celebrations continues. A shout out to my cousin Antonia Caesar. Antonia Caesar, very quiet, easygoing in her own space this morning. Take a little time out to put you in the spotlight, Antonia, to wish you a happy birthday. All right, coming from the entire family. So some birthdays in the lineup there this morning, Rhea, as we continue to celebrate. So important, so critical, in a time where many face challenges, because yes, we're still operating within a pandemic. It's important for us to continue to give God thanks for life, most definitely. Viewers, at this point, Rhea, where do we head on over to?
We head over to news in 90 seconds.
Excuse me,
with Candace.
Hi, good morning. And here is your news in 90 seconds. Midwives call for more support in their job. They celebrated Midwives Day yesterday at the Scarborough General Hospital with a celebration service. There, midwives shared about their joys and challenges they face. Among their concerns were access to training, inadequate staffing, and lack of technical support. The midwives said their jobs are taken for granted, but they play a pivotal role in bringing life into the world. Chief Secretary Farley Augustine was present for the service and acknowledged their concerns. He committed to dealing with them in a short time. Tobago's lone participant, Onella Walker, returned home with 4 medals and a personal best at the just concluded Pan Am Age Group Swimming Championships at the National Aquatic Center. The Castara native took gold In the girls 18 and over 50-meter backstroke, 100-meter backstroke, and bronze in the relay and 200-meter backstroke. Walker achieved a new personal best of 1 minute 4.18 seconds in the 100-meter backstroke. Trinidad and Tobago ended third on the point standing with 818.5 points. Peru was the top team with 1,149 points, and Puerto Rico second with 1,073 points. Now for news from Trinidad, Minister of Health Terence Dialsing rejected claims that COVID-19 vaccines are not effective in children. Recently, 9 doctors wrote a joint letter claiming that Pfizer vaccines for children ages 5 to 11 do not provide enough protection against coronavirus. Dialsing rubbish the claims and stated the vaccines were cleared by WHO, PAHO, and the TNT Medical Association. He added that 10 million children in the United States were vaccinated without adverse events occurring. Meanwhile, Dialsing stated that parents reserve the right to choose whether or not to vaccinate their children. This is your news in 90 seconds, and it is back to you, Ria and Julian.
Thank you so much, Candice. Candice, I noticed you're at the Shore Park complex there. Give us a sense as to what's going to be happening on that end today.
Yes, so as you said, I am at the Shore Park Cultural Complex, and later today from about 9 o'clock there's going to be a consultation with farmers, and this is of course being put on by the Division of Food Security, Natural Resources, the Environment and Sustainable Development. And it's about just engaging these farmers and trying to get from them like what they need to, move the agriculture industry forward and to make sure that we have more food security for the island. So from about 9 o'clock, all the farmers are going to be settled down in this area. As you can see behind me, they have a little stage set up and that sort of thing going on there. And so the farmers could come here and give their views, and then hopefully we could get some good things coming out of it, some new policies in place, and we can move the agriculture sector forward.
Now, is it going to be carried live, or is it just face-to-face?
Yes, it is going to be carried live on Tobago Updates. Your source for everything that's happening on Tobago. So make sure you tune in from about 9 o'clock. Now it goes from about 9 to 12, and I think at 12 they're going to take a break for lunch, and then they're going to return after lunch roughly about 1 o'clock. So, just be sure to tune in, see what our farmers are saying. And maybe this could be a way for us to hold the policymakers accountable, because you would hear from yourselves what are the concerns, what are the ideas that these farmers have. And if the policymakers are not paying attention, not listening, then we as the public have the opportunity to hold them accountable for what was done and what was not done.
Okay. Excellent. All right, so viewers, we want to remind you this continues live from 9 a.m. and we'll be at the Farmers and Agro-Processors meeting and consultation that takes place today from 9 a.m. at Shore Park Complex down there. And we invite you to tune in to the Tobago Updates, as we will be carrying this event live. We are consultations. And that also takes me into the point as well. We're in that lineup as we prepare to head on into Tobago presenting its budget, and similarly you hear the Division of Finance indicating that they're open for consultations, and the chief appearing to take it in a very different style, meeting and interacting with persons on the block. You have
hearing
feedback,
what they want, yeah.
Yes, in terms of coming on in and so on, and it's left to be seen how that will work, because I dare say no pressure on chief and the current administration, but we do have our expectations, Ria, even in a challenging time. time, the expectations are extremely high because persons are saying this is going to be the first budget presentation of this current administration. And for some, this is going to be used as a defining point. And there's also a promise of some surprises by the chief. Again, I've heard in the public space a promise of some surprises to come. So we look forward to those strategies being utilized, and more importantly, we trust that persons would maximize the opportunity currently in terms of those consultations far and wide to express their views. I'm very interested to see what the turnout would be like today in terms of farmers, because, you know, they are comfortable in their space. But sometimes it's a challenge, and we really look forward to see, you know, whether or not the farmers will turn out in their numbers, but more importantly, to express their views and concerns.
Most definitely, Julia, most definitely. So we are heading on over into things.
Yes, who do we have on the rundown this morning, Ria?
Right, so coming up just after the break, we will be chatting with Ricardo Bob, and it's all about food safety. It's all about food safety awareness, and he's going to be chatting with us on that.
All right, and this morning we'll also be chatting with Unika Henry, sexologist and feature speaker, and we're speaking to body awareness and safety workshop. And we'd also be having a conversation this morning with Liana Alexander, board member of the Down Syndrome Family Network. So we have all those discussions coming up for you this morning on the Tobago Updates morning show.
All right. So we head on over, and we remind our viewers this morning that you can see us live here on Gael. You can hear us on Smash Radio, Street 919, and you can also connect with us on Facebook and YouTube. And we remind you this morning that this is your opportunity to share the live, share the live, share the live.
MI4 Security Services Company is the most advanced security service in Tobago. Ask about our cash and transit service. It's safe, risk-free, reliable, and timely. We provide safe banking delivery for all business types and sizes with highly trained staff, 24/7 monitoring, coordinated emergency response, and a well-maintained fleet of armored vehicles. Contact us at 660-7723 or visit our website at www.mi4securitytt.com to sign up today.
Tobago Glass Supplies has been a leading name for over 37 years in the glass and aluminum market in Tobago. We provide an extensive range of high-quality, innovative aluminum and glass products for commercial and residential use. Competitive prices with superior and professional services by committed employees who are guided by rigid quality standards. Tobago Glass Supplies specializes in the manufacture and installation of glass and aluminum products that are essential to today's homeowners and the business environment. We are engaged in marketing, sales, and installation of a variety of products. These ranges from windows and doors to necessities such as mirrors for homes and vehicles, designed and manufactured in-house or imported.
You can now get whatever you need whenever you need it anywhere in Tobago with Tobago. Your meals, medication, groceries, and shopping all delivered directly to you. No more hassle, no more stress. Get the Tobago app today on Google Play or Apple App Store.
That's TAPPOGO, and let us deliver to you.
Check our website at www.tapogo.app or call the experts at 494-TOGO and 484-4746. Tobago. Relax. We will get it to you. Tobago's at your service.
Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning.
Good morning, viewers, and welcome back. It's 7:18 a.m. and this is the Tobago Updates morning show coming to you here live from the Port Mall in Scarborough. In this segment, viewers, we are chatting with Ricardo Bob, Health Inspector 2, and we are chatting about World Food Safety Day 2022. Morning to you, sir.
Good morning, Julian, and morning, Tobago. It's really exciting to be here, and of course, you know, food is one of my passions for a very long time. Yeah.
Well, As we begin this morning's conversation, we're heading right on in to the discussions surrounding World Food Safety Day 2022. Tell us about that, the significance of that day in the international context. We see that it is recognized by the World Health Organization, Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations, and so on. Tell us about the significance of World Food Safety Day 2022.
Well, the most important thing we need besides air is food. And with the pandemic, you know, a lot of attention has been diverted into that. But the things that surround food are still going on in terms of the safety. Now we have food safety and you have food security. We'll focus on the safety aspect because the security aspect involves a broader picture in terms of not just safety aspects, but also in terms of nutrition and so on. But from a safety perspective, lots of people are getting sick from the consumption of food because of improper handling, preparation, storage, and even serving. And so the easiest thing to compromise in terms of the food operation industry is in the safety. The food still looks good, smells good, tastes good, but you can't always assess safety by the physical. And so the safety aspect involves what we call the microbiological and the chemical and so on. And there are some things we can do physically to actually deal with those things. So in terms of the world scene, because we always have to consume food, we need to ensure that that food doesn't cause anybody to get sick and or even die.
So we see that this is the significance of, and that's today, in terms of World Food Safety Day. But when you speak very broadly to the topic, it sounds like something that we ought to pay attention to every single day. Tell us about that broad responsibility in relation to food safety.
Okay, now we have food can be classified into various categories, high risk and low risk. Of course, we consume a lot of high-risk foods, foods that readily support the growth of microbes, for example, your raw foods and your meats and your vegetables and so on, what we call your RTE, ready-to-eat foods, your pastries and those kinds of things. And so because of changing food habits and changing hygiene habits in terms of agriculture practices, people grow food in certain conditions, mass production, we're talking in terms of transportation, compromises in time, temperature, management, cross-contamination, you know, people not paying attention to these things. We have a lot of food that sometimes is being served that may not actually be safe. It may be, from a nutrition perspective, may be excellent. Especially now, people are becoming more aware. They're eating more vegetables. Vegetables are extremely high risk because not much cooking, and of course, we cannot get rid of microbes. I mean, not all of them are bad. And not all of them are bad where they are, but when they get into the digestive system, they can cause some serious problems.
So how easy is it, rather, you know, within the, and you know, we're diving in a little bit more specifically here to Tobago, there are a number of food establishments in operation within the Tobago space. What is the extent of the responsibility coming through health in terms of really seeking to ensure, whether random checks, etc., that these persons are complying with regards to the food safety regulations?
Great question, and I must say that food establishments are increasing by the day. With the pandemic, people losing their jobs, one of the easiest ways to get an income is through food. And if you look in the Southwest area, the night life in the Southwest area, generally around Tobago, we're seeing a lot of establishments and even what we call the itinerant vendors and so on coming to the fore. So now we do education every week in terms of registration. We have a good registration drive, and the public is very much aware. Over the last, let's say, about 20 years, we've really been working to make the public aware in terms of the requirements. And so they do some of our jobs for us when they require people to have good standards. So if you go around nowadays, you find people, they have running water. They have hot holding and cold holding. You know, they are not using the same dispensers for different foods. So because the public is more aware and we've been educating people, the standards are increasing. If you go to food establishments now, you see the kitchens, they're tiled, stainless steel, your equipment and utensils and so on. And we do spot checks, you know. We sometimes go out in the night. And we can do some more. We need more resources to be able to do that. But the thing is, food business is on the rise and safety is very primary for us.
And you would have spoken to running water, of course, being one of the critical factors in terms of with food preparation and so on. And if we just touch a little bit on the reality of the pandemic, and we've seen where, you know, hand sanitizing on entry, sinks to facilitate washing and so on. But we are slowly seeing what is probably some adjustments in that. Do you feel that it is important for us to maintain something like that? I feel like the pandemic has opened our eyes. And one of my you know, family members, my dad, would say, you see this hand washing thing? I want to see that continue indefinitely so as to help us in circumstances. How important do you think that is in terms of, you know, establishments maintaining, and this is not just limited to food, but establishments maintaining the significance of that kind of hand washing and sanitizing in some way, form or fashion?
Extremely important. Now, remember, we can't get rid of microbes. We have them on our skin. Just in your hands, if you were to do a swab, we have about 1,000 different ones there. So hygiene is extremely important. We cannot not touch food. We have to touch it while handling. There are some food preparation methods that involve physical hand preparation. But on a broader scale, as you said, the hygiene should continue. It should not be stopped. We should not just do something because it's a particular time. As a matter of fact, if we were to practice hygiene, if we were to go back into ancient times, a lot of diseases can be prevented simply by practicing good personal hygiene. A lot. You'll be amazed, a lot. Let us say a lot of people are using things like eggs now. All our eggs have salmonella, typhimurium bacteria. We're talking about the issue of using manure. You have E. coli and those kinds of things. Hygiene, just simply by washing their hands, you can eliminate a lot of these. A lot of them, yeah.
So for persons out there, and you know, I like to be very realistic. We go out and, just as you said, late night, and I get that tasty meal. What should we be looking for as members of the public to ensure that those individuals, especially what we deem or what we call street food, that those individuals are indeed, you know, certified, so to speak? What should we be looking for?
All right. Of course, you know, they are supposed to have their food badges. It means that they have gone through the process of registering. That's a check, a basic check and balance. Also, you want to look for cleanliness. You want to look for separation of certain kinds of foods, that they're not using the same dispenser to dispense all the different types of foods. If they're doing, let's say, your high-risk foods, they must actually be kept hot, not just in a hot holding facility, but it must actually keep the food hot. Or if it's a cold food, it must be kept cold. We want to know that it is free from dust, you know, and flies and other insects and stuff that can transmit diseases, you know, no roaches and rodents and that kind of thing. Facilities for taking care of the waste, you know, the packaging and so on. And even the person must look nice and clean. You know, I know we're living in an age where anything goes, but having your head covered is very important. You don't want to see hair in your food. You know, simple things like these. Nails nice and short. You know, you don't want to see people, you know, based on some kind of attire, you know, the more clothes is the better, if you want to put it that way. So in other words, that person and the establishment, the facility, wherever that food is sold, it must look as though it is safe. Now, there is not 100% guarantee, I must say, because, as I said, you can't assess microbiological aspects just by simply looking, but you can have good clean facilities and good clean food. Also, an aspect I want to mention is sanitizing, because cleaning and sanitizing are not the same thing. So cleaning is where you remove the dirt and soil, you wipe down, wash down, you know, scrub down. But sanitizing is where you actually have that manipulation of your microbes, and you can do it through heat or through chemicals. Heat sanitizing is effective, but you can't do that for everything. You can do chemical sanitizing, and there are a lot of them available on the market and so on. So you want to have both cleaning and sanitizing. That's paramount. And the worst thing is, you don't want to have to eat something, it tastes really good, and then a few hours after, that destroys the experience. And so, yeah.
So tell us very quickly, methods for reporting concerns. So I've had situations in the past, food establishments, and I've become even more particular, and I'm sure most of our viewers, within these pandemic times. And I've had the unfortunate situation of going into a restaurant, You know, seeing somebody literally coming to share out the items using their bare hands from in the back. You know, the bread and the items and so on. And, you know, I drew it to their attention to say, you should use a gloves or you should use some utensils to take that out. I was totally disregarded. I made a report to management. Management seemed as concerned as 0. Not 100, but 0. Okay, thank you, thank you. I later made a decision that I'm not going to eat there. But then I thought to myself, after a few weeks and seeing, you know, standing on the outside and seeing the same thing being practiced. But you haven't done enough, Julian, because ultimately there are others who are now being exposed to that who may not be there at that time to see it.
That's right.
How does one take it further beyond just the management of a facility to report an institution with those kinds of practices so that in some way, form or fashion they are forced to do better?
Right, so now that's really good. Now you did the right thing because the power is with the customer. The money is in your pocket before it gets in theirs, and we have options. That's the first thing we need to recognize, the power of the consumer. The next thing is that you can report that to the Public Health Department. We have a number that folks can call, 639-1433, that's the number, or you can even call my number, 751-4960. People can call and report, and we do head in. Now, one of the things that I must say is that people think that the laws in Trinidad and Tobago are like the United States, where you can sue them for $1 million. It doesn't always work like that. But we can go in and make an intervention, and we have done in many instances. Sometimes you have, unfortunately, some of the service providers are not as conscientious as they ought to be in terms of the client. The thing is, it's business, and the food business thrives on happy returning customers. If you don't have happy returning customers, then your business is not going to thrive. And what is going to happen? The first person that loses their job is who? That person who is not serving well. So we need to be more conscientious as a people in terms of the service culture. And we must do all that we could do to make sure that we woo the clients. As a matter of fact, food establishments should seek to exceed the minimum standards. And this is where we want to go. Not just stop at minimum standards, but exceed them. But you can report it and we will go in. What we can do, as I said, your litigation aspect will be individual. We can go in and we can do some work with the folks to bring them up to standard. And many times we have had to ask people to close and so on. That is done. But I want to just sometimes we do that. The people, when we are doing that, people who want the service are saying, please wait until I get my stuff before you close. We have had that experience.
Isn't that an interesting perspective? But should something happen with the individual, they will then say, you know, you should have taken your responsibility in your job more seriously. So again, just remind our viewers of contact information should they face that situation. Because as I said, for me, and I'm sure for many individuals, I realize I'm spending my money and I'm not going to spend it there under those circumstances because it makes me extremely uncomfortable. But then in some ways, you're not also taking care of your neighbor and your brother and your sister because you have not taken it a little further so that the institution itself does better. So just a reminder of viewers again of the contact information should they face those circumstances, because we know most obviously there isn't enough health workers to be out there policing, so to speak, each and every day, and you rely heavily on the general public as well.
Yes, and policing, really, if we have to go to policing, it makes it more difficult. We want people to step up in terms of their conscientiousness. 639-1433, that's the number at the office there. Sometimes it may be quite busy, you know, because we get lots of calls, not just in terms of food, but in terms of every aspect of public health. You can also call 751-4960. That's my cell number. I have no problems with people calling me. Or even though you send a WhatsApp message, people do that all the time. We are supposed to be serving the public, and we want the public to actually help us to help you. It's not a one-way situation. People always think the authorities they want to do the work. No, you have more power than we do. If you don't buy from those establishments, they will have to either improve or get out of business. So I want to challenge the public this morning to ensure not just to practice food safety principles in the business, in your home, because a lot of foodborne illness happen in the home. You know, you're cooking on Sunday for the rest of the week. You're cooking on Sunday or Sunday and you're leaving it out without hot or cold holding. You're putting it away in the night. or you're not washing your hands after using the toilet. People need to practice these things from the home, because if you do it in the home, it becomes a part of you. When you go to work, it will be very easy.
In terms of that natural transition.
Natural transition.
So viewers, we're talking here World Food Safety Day 2022. Final 30 seconds. Any other admonitions you want to give or reminders to the general public as we wrap this morning's interview?
The food business is really good business. When we open up our industry or our country to tourism, one of the things they want to do is to taste the food. When we travel, we want to taste the food. We want to get on the streets. We want to be able to do that. So the fact that we are a tourism-conscious environment, it's even more important that we have food safety going on. People are going into the villages and they want to catch a taste of this, a taste of that. You, that person, you're doing it out of your home. Be conscientious. It's not all about the money. And if you're really conscientious, you'll find that even more is going to come, and we are going to be a much better society, much healthier, decrease the burden on the health system with all those diarrheal diseases and foodborne illness and so on. And you're actually going to save money, All
right. Thank you very much, dear. Have no fear, folks. Health Inspector Bob is here. All right. So we thank Ricardo Bob, Health Inspector, too, speaking to us on World Food Safety Day, and more importantly, what is a year-round program of the Tobago House of Assembly in educating and informing and bringing awareness to persons on the importance of food safety. At this point, viewers, we head on over to the good stuff. The good stuff. And this morning, we say congratulations go out to Mr. Isaiah Thomas as he continues to excel at the game of bocce. Thomas is a part of the Special Olympics Trinidad and Tobago bocce team that departed for the 2022 USA Special Olympic Games last Friday, the 3rd of June 2022. The game runs from the 5th to the 12th of June 2022 in Orlando, Florida. Bocce, also known as Italian lawn bowling, is one of the most widely played games in the world. It is one of the oldest lawn or yard games with origins dating back to 5000 BC. So this morning, coming from Tobago Updates, the Tobago Updates family, we say congratulations to Mr. Isaiah Thomas there. All right, and we want to thank each and every one of you continuing to connect with us here on the Tobago Updates morning show. I see Newton George in the mix, and I think is that Newton George out of Speyside, QK Melville, Donna Dempster, Dora Lyons, Marilyn John, Donna Mae Walcott, Carleen Pearl, and each and every one of you joining us here this morning. We want to thank you so much for the continued love and support. Those of you as well joining us via Gael, via M&E TV, Smash Radio, and those listeners also joining us via Street 91.9 FM. We thank you so much for your continued love and support. This is the Tobago Updates morning show, and we want to remind you to share the live, share the live, share the live.
Opulence Promotion takes you to a musical paradise with Utopia. On Sunday, June 19th, the Buku Historical Park would come alive from 2 to 10 p.m. as TNT's most versatile jazz, reggae, soca, and Afrobeat artists grace the stage. Indulge in Tobago's rich cuisine and be captivated by pieces from Tobago's creative artisans at Utopia, the hybrid jazz experience, a fusion of music, food, and art. Tickets available online at islandetickets.com, in stores at Penny Saver Supermarket Canaan, Guy's AutoZone, Pure Vanity Lowlands. Call 716-6797 for more information.
There's a taste in the air everywhere. Feel the vibe 'cause it's something to share. Smooth, rich and creamy, you'll find it right here. Makes you smile, relax a while, it's fun and good cheer. Ooh, enjoy every scoop. Ooh, every taste will get you. We have flavors that you love, a combination special. Come along, enjoy our treats. This is Uncle Pete's.
Looking for plants for your garden or even a thoughtful gift for a friend? We at Eden Nurseries are waiting to welcome you with our affordable prices and variety of indoor and outdoor plants, flowers, palms, soil blends, pots, landscaping services, maintenance, irrigation services, and water features. Visit our garden shop and nursery Monday to Friday 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. and Saturdays 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. located at the back of Orange Hill Gas Station, Shore Park, Tobago, or call us 639-0776 and let us help you bring your garden to life.
Good morning, good morning, put a smile on your
Advertise with Tobago Updates. Call 284-6597. If you have a small or large business, we can get your information in front of the masses. Reach our rapidly growing viewership on Facebook and YouTube. Promote your brand in Trinidad and the Caribbean through M&E TV Now and Gayel. Yes, we can build unique ads for your business. Call now 284-6597 and advertise with us.
Our national borders, our first step to security, but a possible access point for guns, drugs, crime. If it does not look right, do the right thing. Call Crime Stoppers anonymously. 800-8477. Report possible border crime.
Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning. Good morning.
Viewers, welcome back. Good morning again, and welcome back this morning to the Tobago Updates Morning Show. We're chatting this morning with Onika Henry, sexologist and a feature speaker. Along with her this morning, Liana Alexander, who's a board member of the Down Syndrome Family Network, or DSFN. And this morning, our focus is on a body awareness and a safety workshop. Ladies, good morning and welcome.
Good morning. Thank you.
I want to start with you this morning, Liana, in terms of this workshop. I'm particularly curious about Onika's involvement being a sexologist and the Down Syndrome Family Network. Give us an idea of what we're talking about. How did this collaboration come about?
Okay, the Down Syndrome Family Network basically support parents and families of persons or children with Down syndrome and other disabilities. And in working with students or children, you need to know many different things or many different aspects that would affect them negatively or positively. And sex education and HFLE and things like that, as we know it, is something that is very taboo often in the education system.
Right.
Right? So that is why we have a workshop that will have parents, stakeholders, educators who would be more aware and cognizant of what is necessary to teach our students, our children, and to talk to them in a fun, professional way. And that is where we have our expert who is going to be doing that.
And an expert she is indeed. Now, Onika, I know that children who have Down syndrome are highly sexed, and I think it's one of the characteristics. Yes.
Well, that is a misconception.
Okay.
So persons or children with intellectual disabilities simply need to learn the skills to manage their sexual energy, and because they don't pick up on social cues as well as children who are what we call neurotypical, they have difficulty recognizing what's appropriate and what's not appropriate behavior.
Right.
And so you'd find that they may do things in public with their bodies that they should be doing in private, but nobody spoke to them about it. Nobody taught them how to manage themselves. And so it may appear as if they are highly sexed.
But they're
that's not a general characteristic that I would paint everybody with.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, my apologies, but certainly the information is there. All right, so give us an idea of what it is and some of the information that you would like parents, and this is not to sell out everything because you want them to come out to the workshop, but in terms of what parents need to be aware of with their children, and even though we're talking about children with special needs, I think this information could be for all parents, all children. So what are some of the critical things that parents need to be aware of?
Right, and so first let me address the statement you made that this information is for all children. When I delivered the first version of this workshop in Trinidad, that's exactly what the parents felt like. This applies to everybody. And even parents themselves were learning things about sexuality and sexual health that they never knew before. So there's going to be some basic information about what sexuality is and what it looks like and how it shows up in people in different ways, including children, whether they have intellectual disabilities or not, what sexual health means, because there is a difference between sexuality and sexual health, so we'll be delving into that. So the basics and the foundation will be there, because I know this is not something that we are exposed to in this part of the world. We do not have proper comprehensive sex education. So everybody missed a whole lot of information
along the way.
Yes.
Eras.
Yes. And so there are huge gaps in people's understanding of what this means and why we shouldn't experience what some of us in the field call the unholy trinity: fear, shame, and guilt.
Go ahead.
And so, you know, I deal with that fear, shame, and guilt that has prevented us from having proper, complete, and comprehensive sex education. So that's one. Two, I talk about developmental characteristics of children and why it is this quote-unquote sex talk isn't a one talk that's done at a particular age.
Right.
It is a series of conversations that happen over the child and the adult's lifetime. And that conversation changes depending on the stage and age that they're at, the knowledge they need to know, the skills they need to have, and what they need to learn to negotiate behaviors and interactions with their peers and with others. And so that is part of what parents are going to learn, what the stages require, and why it is for folks with intellectual disabilities is a little bit different. And so the approach has to be different. So there's the why. Folks with intellectual disabilities, particularly youth, are more susceptible to abuse. So, you know, I know we're all up in arms about the recent report on what's been happening in children's homes.
Right.
And that was for, I believe, neurotypical children, those of us who consider quote-unquote normal.
Right.
And so could you imagine what's happening with young children who have intellectual disabilities, who are thought of as asexual? They don't need that. They don't have sexual feelings. Their bodies don't have senses and sensory, you know, nerves that are picking up on pleasure. Absolutely, absolutely not true. But because we are not teaching them even less than we are with our youth, they are more susceptible to predatory behavior.
Wow, and that's a lot of information there. Now let me ask you, how early is early? Or early enough to educate our children on sex education. Some parents believe that, you know, when you're on the cusp of adolescence, that should be the time that you sit down and talk to them about the birds and the bees. Some parents believe that 5, 6, 7 is a little too early. You don't want to expose them. You don't want them thinking things or thinking thoughts that were not there before. How early is early?
We are sexual from womb to tomb. So as early as from birth, even the energy, the attitude you have towards cleaning them and cleaning their genitals, the words that we use to refer to their body parts when you're bathing them, when you're putting their clothes on. So every single stage. And
is that key, as you mentioned, the names of the body part when we're talking to children?
Yes.
Because I'll be honest, I grew up in an era where your vagina had several different names, you know that.
Yes.
But my mother taught us otherwise, so we knew the correct terms. I trained my children likewise the correct terms, although I mean their friends would say, you can't say that in public, you don't, call it by another name. But how important is using the correct the correct names of the body parts? How important is that in sexuality and sex education?
So what we want to do is normalize the referral and references to those body parts as if they are just as important, just as normal as any other body part. That's one. You don't want to create any shame, any secrecy around that. That's one. So a comfort with your body and a comfort with explaining what might be going wrong with any part of your body. Yeah? And then a challenge arises if there is any kind of inappropriate behavior, any kind of abuse, and perhaps it gets to a situation where we are in a court of law. If you have taught your children other words for their body parts, and so they
Charlie, Coco,
right, butterfly,
spouse.
right.
Yes.
They now have to explain or prove or show to persons who are listening to this evidence what they're referring to.
Wow.
Because I don't know, when you say butterfly, I don't know, what could you mean? Your ears? Yeah?
Right.
Your fingers? Show me what you mean by butterfly. If a child says vulva, vagina, anus, there is no doubt about the body part that they're referring to. Yeah, and we know this child is educated, so they know what has happened to them. It's not an imagination.
Right.
They know distinctly the difference between an elbow,
it
knee,
adds more credibility
yes,
and validity
and
to what
it
they're
gives
saying.
them confidence and helps them be more clear about what has happened to them and what is happening to them.
All right. Now, when is all of this happening? Liana, back to you here. When is all of this happening?
All right, so this will be happening right here in Tobago on Thursday the 9th of June, which is going to be this Thursday at the Scarborough Library at the auditorium. And registration is still ongoing. We have the link, the flyer would have been going around. We would have been promoting this workshop for at least 2 months or more. And what we want, because registration, it's still a bit, it's a bit slow. But, persons, now that we are back out, we are asking persons to be able to, I should say, you can join, but that is for a selected amount of persons, stakeholders, persons from student support services, teachers, other persons who work with students, and of course our parents. And what I, just want to put a plug in here is that the Down Syndrome Family Network, it's the currently active, it's one of the only active, because we have other organizations, but it's one of the active organizations in Trinidad and Tobago that support and, caters for persons with Down syndrome and other disabilities.
Right.
So we always have these workshops, these ongoing workshops. At least we try to do it 4 times per year.
Right.
And because of the pandemic, our last workshop here in Tobago, it was in December 2019. So we would have had a presence in Tobago for at least 8 years. The Down Syndrome Family Network would have been around for 10 years. Right? Educating persons, sensitizing, bringing awareness. And that is how we are going to get parents to learn and know more, because we are looking at some inclusion, right? The Down Syndrome Family Network is big on inclusion, especially in the mainstream schools. So we have students with intellectual disability going into the mainstream schools, and of course they need to be educated.
Most definitely.
Right? They need to know how to have, the appropriate behaviors when you go to be with other students, because you wouldn't want persons taking advantage of them. And then parents now would be informed that they are responsible too.
Yes.
Because with the early intervention, you can, as
Onika.
Yes, as Onika was saying, I was going to say Miss Henry, as she was saying, from as early as the early childhood level, you need to know these things. So when parents bring them, when they come to the workshop and you go into the early childhood centers, and you have a child there with intellectual disability, they are aware as all the other students as to what is happening.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. So give us some contact information. How can persons contact you? And I think this is, as you know, as Miss Alexander said, Leanna Alexander said, this is for stakeholders, parents, teachers, yes, and it's very important that we get the information. I think we need to break the stigma, break the cycle of the previous eras, and begin to talk about it. We've been talking about this. Begin to talk about it. All right. So how can persons contact you for more information?
Okay, so I can be contacted at 293-6544. That's 293-6544, and you can contact me to be registered, and I would send the link because it would have been going around social media.
Okay.
Also on the Down Syndrome Family Network, we have a Facebook page. You can go there and you will have all the information as well, and we have various chats. We have the Down Syndrome Family Network Tobago chat, the parent chat. All the information is available there, and we really want persons to register. It's also online, so persons may be saying, I may not be able to come, I may not have the time. It's an online workshop, as well as we have a face-to-face segment for some selected stakeholders and stuff like that at the library. So it's also online.
All right. Well, ladies, thank you so much for being with us. Onika, I'm certainly looking forward to the information that you've got to share. Always enjoy hearing from you. And Leanna Alexander, thank you so much for being with us as well.
You're welcome, and thank you for having us.
All right. Well, viewers, lots more coming up on the Tobago Updates morning show. And we head over to Tobago back in the day. Tobago back in the day, and that photo is going to be up pretty soon. Tobago back in the day. Can you tell us where this is? Now, mind you, if you can recognize this picture, you are definitely tipping your age. All right? You're not going to be any of the teeny boppers here. So Tobago back in the day, and I believe this is the old... No. I'm going to leave it. I can't sell it out just yet, so we'll give it at the end of the show. We'll give it out at the end of the show. All right, so we want to thank you so much for joining us for this segment. Viewers, lots more coming up on this program, so share the live, share the live, share the live.
Pre-qualification notice deadline 30th June 2022. The Tobago Regional Health Authority (TRHA) is updating its current list of pre-qualified contractors, suppliers, consultancy firms and sole traders to ensure compliance with the mandate of the procurement regulations of Trinidad and Tobago. All interested contractors and suppliers desirous of entering into business arrangements with the TRHA are invited to engage in the pre-qualification of suppliers registration process. For more information, visit the following link: trha.page.link/tenders.
It's a different type of thing down there. And we party till we drop down there. With a lot of pretty girls down there. Down in Tobago.
MI4 Security Services Company is the most advanced security service in Tobago. Ask about our cash and transit service. It's safe, risk-free, reliable, and timely. We provide safe banking delivery for all business types and sizes with highly trained staff, 24/7 monitoring, coordinated emergency response, and a well-maintained fleet of armored vehicles. Contact us at 660-7723 or visit our website at www.mi4securitytt.com to sign up today.
Opulence Promotion takes you to a musical paradise with Utopia. On Sunday, June 19th, the Buku Historical Park would come alive from 2 to 10 p.m. as TNT's most versatile jazz, reggae, soca, and Afrobeat artists grace the stage. Indulge in Tobago's rich cuisine and be captivated by pieces from Tobago's creative artisans at Utopia, the hybrid jazz experience, a fusion of music, food, and art. Tickets available online at islandetickets.com, in stores at Penny Saver Supermarket Canaan, Guy's AutoZone, Pure Vanity Lowlands. Call 716-6797 for more information.
Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning, good morning, morning.
Viewers, and welcome back to the Tobago Updates morning show, coming to you here live from the Port Mall in Scarborough. In this final segment this morning, Ria, you know, I have to take the time out. I saw some of our viewers pausing for a pause. This yellow with Ria is beautiful. It lights up the morning.
Why, thank you. Why, thank you. And I'll be honest with you, yellow is not one of my favorite colors. I would not, you know, I would not go into the store and purchase yellow. But I want to thank Lee Richards Collections. Yes, Lee Richards, Brian Richards out of Trinidad. Yes, Londonville, Trinidad. Thank you very much, Lee Richards Collections.
I want to thank Oswald George for selecting that Lee Richards collection.
Yes.
All right. Ria, I see some comments coming in on the live in terms of something the old post office
with the
bus terminal
behind
was behind it. This is Andrea Ladd, and this just totally giving away their age there.
Yeah, Andre would definitely have been around in this era. Andre, good morning. Definitely been around in this era, so he would know.
For my grouping, I would say that's now replaced by the financial complex.
Yes.
So for those who aren't sure, that is what existed before, the financial complex.
Oh, definitely. I'm very familiar with there because there were many days when Oswald was in Trinidad and I was in Tobago. He was going to school. I was already working in Tobago, and he would send me letters, and you know, Friday evening I didn't get it, and I would go to the post office personally to ensure that I got it for that weekend, you know. So I remember those days, yeah.
Shout out
before social media.
To Ria Richardson George and Oswald George. That love story. Giving you hope, giving you a sense of hope. Viewers are coming up. We have a Tobago Notes bringing to you the information and things happening here within the Tobago space, and that will be followed by Good Morning Tobago, Good Morning Tobago. So you can look forward to those coming up next. Ria, the energy has been absolutely fabulous this morning.
Definitely.
We are so thankful, and we continue to be grateful to each and every one of you. We want to thank those of you, yes, those of you at home looking on via Gael and M&E TV. Those of you on the road and at your workspace with the radios on, listening to Smash Radio and listening to Street 91.9 FM. Those of you that continue to connect with us via online, TobagoUpdates.com, or YouTube channel and Facebook, we want to thank you so much for the continued love and support.
All right, so we are leaving it there.
What's up tomorrow, Ria?
Just before we get there, Andrea Ladd is saying that picture is also where DJs used to set up for parties in Market Square. Parks would be familiar with that here, on top of the steps. All right, so
I think he might have mic'd 1 or 2 times as well.
Definitely.
I'm just saying.
Definitely. All right. Yeah, but what's happening tomorrow?
I'm just saying. We got Youth Wednesday. Youth Wednesday is on tomorrow. And remember, viewers, we head on into GMT, and then you take a little break. But from 9 o'clock, we're going to be live from Shore Park with the farmers consultation with the division engaging our farmers here in the Tobago space. So stay tuned to Tobago Updates.
That's right. So we're going to leave it there. We want to thank you so much for joining us today and every day. And don't forget Youth Wednesday tomorrow. So have a great day, Tobago. Remember to wear your mask, sanitize, and socially distance.
Bye-bye, folks.
The Speyside High School Steel Orchestra and Speyside Steel Sensations recently got a well-timed boost, a gift of $130,000 worth of steel pans. The pans will help the members continue to make their mark on the national music scene. It's in line with the school's mission to facilitate the holistic development of its students.
And in order for that to happen, we have to have resources and we have to have opportunities. Right? Now, today, we are going to be blessed with a very expensive gift. Students, very expensive gift. And the best way that we could show appreciation for that is the care.
Because of our legacy, and as the Chief Sec indicated, in homage to Mr. Titus, we believe that it's our duty to carry on the legacy of the band. We have a rich legacy, having won various competitions and a lot of talent, and it's just to preserve that and pass it on to upcoming students.
The donation was made by pan maker, tuner, and the manager of NGC Steel Explosion, Aaron Anthony.
Today, I felt real proud because, you know, this thing never happened before. When you ask for a donation, the captain of the band will give you an old pan or an old guitar pan or old bass. Yeah? I work on these pans for about 5-6 months. We need a chrome factory in Tobago so we could export pans. And we need a national band of 35 players, divided boys and girls, so they could be employed at $4,000 when the month come, and they could play, and the money they made could go into an assembly fund. So you're not doing nothing for them, they're helping themselves.
Chief Secretary Honorable Farley Augustine was once the band's manager. Here's his take on the donation.
I am happy and I'm grateful that I could be here in another role. Had I not have the role of Chief Secretary, I most likely would have been in the role of teacher. I might have been hosting this function, but I'm happy I could be in another role as Chief Secretary to stand here with our resident pan tuner, Mr. Deuce, who has given to us quite a noteworthy gift. I mean, it was said before, the value of the gift, $130,000. $130,000 is difficult to come by. It's not an easy amount of money. And this is a labor of love.
Honorable Augustine has this challenge for all members.
Mr. Titus must go down in history as the person who helped to push our pan side to where it is now. And I'm charging those who are still here and responsible, Ms. Griffith and others, that we have to get the pan side back up and running in time for competitions for February next year.
That was a production of the Department of Information, Office of the Chief Secretary, Tobago House of Assembly.
There's a taste in the air everywhere. Feel the vibe 'cause it's something to share. Smooth, rich and creamy, you'll find it right here. Makes you smile, relax a while, it's fun and good cheer. Ooh, enjoy every scoop. Ooh, every taste will get you hooked. We have flavors that you love, a combination special. Come along, enjoy our treats. This is Uncle Pete's.
Looking for plants for your garden or even a thoughtful gift for a friend? We at Eden Nurseries are waiting to welcome you with our affordable prices and variety of indoor and outdoor plants, flowers, palms, soil blends, pots, landscaping services, maintenance, irrigation services, and water features. Visit our garden shop and nursery Monday to Friday 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. and Saturdays 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. located at the back of Orange Hill Gas Station, Shore Park, Tobago. Or call us 639-0776 and let us help you bring your garden to life.
Yeah. Hey.
Tobago updates. Na 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 na. Good morning, Tobago. Na 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 na.
Updates,
your source for current affairs in Tobago, Trinidad and the region.
with the perfect conversations to complement your morning routine. I am Candice Jackson.
And I am Denise Dempster.
Here is your news in 90 seconds.
Midwives call for more support in their job. They celebrated World Midwives Day yesterday at the Tobago General Hospital with a celebration service. There, midwives shared about their joys and challenges they face. Among their concerns were access to training, inadequate staffing, and lack of technical support. The midwives said their jobs are taken for granted, but they play a pivotal role in bringing life into the world. Chief Secretary Farley Augustine was present for the service and acknowledged their concerns. He committed to dealing with some of them shortly. Meanwhile, Tobago's lone participant, Ornella Walker, returned home with 4 medals and a personal best at the just concluded Pan Am Age Group Swimming Championships at the National Aquatic Center. The Castara native took gold in the girls' 18 and over 15-meter backstroke, 100-meter backstroke, bronze in the relay, and 200-meter backstroke. Walker achieved a new personal best of 1 minute, 4.18 seconds in the 100-meter backstroke. Trinidad and Tobago ended third on the points standard with 818.5 points. Peru was top team with 1,149 points and Puerto Rico second with 1,073 points. In other news, Minister of Health Terence Dalal Singh rejected claims that COVID-19 vaccines are not effective in children. Recently, 9 doctors wrote a joint letter claiming that Pfizer vaccines for children ages 5 to 11 do not provide enough protection against COVID-19. Dalal Singh rubbished the claims and stated the vaccines were cleared by WHO, PAHO, and the TNT Medical Association. He added that 10 million children in the United States were vaccinated without adverse events occurring. Meanwhile, Dalal Singh stated that parents reserve the right to choose whether or not to vaccinate their children. That was the news in 90 seconds.
All right, Denise, there's a lot happening in our space, especially where the vaccines are concerned. So, I mean, we continue to have this conversation where there's a lot of people that are expressing doubts about the vaccines, but yet, you know, we have bodies like the WHO and so on saying that, you know, these vaccines are safe. We've had them in a population for just about a year, and there shouldn't be any concerns.
I mean, the concerns for me, I think, is warranted because I remember one lady, she has a daughter, let's say she's around 3 or 4, and she have asthma. And, you know, for her, getting the vaccine for her daughter was very important for her because in the event that, God forbid, she does come in contact with COVID, she wasn't sure how her body was going to react to the virus or fight it on her own because of the fact that she has asthma. However, with the deliberation and the going back and forth, she eventually got the COVID-19 vaccination for her child. But the thing about it, she did have fears because, I mean, this is something that you're putting in your body, and not everybody's body reacts the same way to something that is new to them.
Of course.
You'll have a lot of persons who, you know, can't take modern-day medicine because it gives a lot of side effects to them that, you know, they can't handle. So I think for me, being in a position where you're not sure how it's going to negatively affect your child is not necessarily because of the vaccine, but you just don't know, and then you don't know the long-term side effects to these types of vaccine. Like, would it be a situation where the child is like a teenager? What are some of the side effects? You know, you're not really hearing, you're just saying, okay, well, you need to take the vaccine because it's helping you to prevent the COVID-19. But what are some of the other stuff that may contribute long-term? And I think for me, that is why when I even went and get the vaccine, like I did some research on it beforehand because like I always say, my body is very sensitive. So anything that is not too familiar with it, it literally causes bad reactions.
And I think that is why you also need to consult your doctor, like for everything. So I mean, yeah, you could do your research and all of that at the same time, but the doctors are really the experts here. So if you are somebody who has complications, you should consult your doctor, because it is, and they stated like if you have certain complications, it is possible that the vaccine might react badly to it. So you should always check with your doctor, you know, because sometimes, I mean, we don't have all that extent of that knowledge. I mean, there's a lot of research out there, but it can be difficult for us who are not learned in that area to be able to process that and understand what it really means. So
I think even if you consult your doctor, as a human being, you'll naturally have those fears, you'll naturally have those concerns, you'll naturally have those worries or questions more than answers, especially when you have children and you're saying, okay, well, this is what needs to be done.
Yes.
Like, you know, it's still going to affect you on some level, because as a mother you would always want to protect your children no matter what age they are. So I mean, I get the concerns. I think if it were me, I don't have any children, but I think if it were me and I was in a position that I had to make the choice, I would have literally be in a position where I would exhaust all my options and see what is the best fit for my child, because like I said, everybody's child is different and some are a bit more vulnerable than others.
And then moving on, I mean, we also have in the national space where the Minister of National Security yesterday stated that, you know, police will not experience any increase in wages. So, and we know that right now there's that that conversation that's happening with public servants, you know, rallying for that wage increase, because they have not all received any since 2013. And then we had the Minister of National Security yesterday stating that that's not going to happen for police officers.
Now listen to me, right? When I heard this, one question that actually flared in my mind was that, now I don't want this to sound off, but you know, we live in a world where we face police brutality, right? So sometimes I wonder if, because of the treatment that they are getting from higher heads, if that is the reason why sometimes they abuse the, I wouldn't say power, but abuse the upper hand that they have. Because when I look at certain situations, especially on social media, that persons have to go through, individuals have to go through, and the type of roughness that they would get, the type of mistreatment that you would get, one begs the question, okay, is this because of the job itself, or is it because that, okay, I am in a profession that doesn't appreciate me, doesn't appreciate what I bring to the table, doesn't appreciate my stature? Therefore, I mean, we are all human beings, I'm not saying it's right, but at the same time, for me, I always ask that question. Is that the reason why they may...
All right, and to get into that conversation, well, we have Nkosi Phillips on the line, and as the leader, the political leader of the Unity of the People. So I just want to say good morning and welcome to you, Nkosi.
Good morning, Miss Candice and your co-host. Good morning, Tobago Updates. Good morning, Tobago and Trinidad by extension.
All right, so getting straight into the conversation. Tell me your reactions to the Minister Fitzgerald Hines yesterday stating that police are not going to experience a wage increase.
For most of the day, and when I got up, I saw 127 missed calls. And those were from officers who would have called. So I made back the call and asked them what was going on. They said, look at your Facebook, look at your Facebook. And when I saw that, we went into a deep conversation. And I think that, as I said, it was a blatant slap in the face and a disrespect to the police officers. Because one of the things that we spoke about in the discussion last night up to this morning is what they had negotiations before, way back in 2013 and back then. What was the agreement back then that warrants us to wait 5 to 6 years, waiting till we get an increase? And also, if they talked about also, if government is saying that things are so hard And the minister is saying that why don't the prime minister or the government take a pay cut? Because this only affects the working class and not the government class. So I think this is crazy. This is going to cause some chain reactions, and this is something that we have to look at. I know it was coming, but I didn't expect it to be so soon and like this.
Do you believe if the government was transparent in the earlies in terms of what was actually taking place with the country, do you think the blows that they are facing now wouldn't have been this severe? It would have been more like acceptance, more or less?
A lot of transparency has to take place, especially our officers would have to look at, you have to look at this. When we were shut down from 2020, from the COVID, the persons who were there were the police officers or arms of national security or the public sector, the special workers, especially our police service men and women. Remember, they had to deal with the COVID. They had to deal with the persons in crime and criminalities and persons not wearing the mask and have to subject themselves to go back home to their families. They have to be on lockdown quarantine. They have to be the ones spending their money out of their pockets because remember, their wife and family have to be at home, so they have to be doing all this spending because there's no money coming in. And for them to do this now is a total disrespect for them. Now, we have to be mindful also. If there was a level of transparency in regards to the money spending and how the government have money and we have no money in the country, but yet you're just seeing a $3 billion was just requested from the government, or $300 billion, however much it was. And when you look at the debates surrounding what the money is used for example, I think it was 17 million or over more than that in regards to advertising government business. And some of the spending, what government business you need over millions of dollars to advertise? So I think the police will look at this differently, and we have to be careful that, remember, when the police are on strike, we have roadblocks and they're gonna go slow, as we have seen in the past. So we have to look at also that the leaders of our countries, not the leaders, but this government of this country, they never have a conversation regarding the appreciation of its citizens or seem to relate to our concerns. Why? Because none of them have to figure out or have to expose themselves to the daily subjections of a regular life. And this causes a disconnect and a disregard to true sentiments in assisting or improving the quality of life for all our citizens. And this is evident because we have to look at the PNM and how they speak to people and how the Minister Hines, how they reflect to our police officers. It's totally disrespectful. Listen, as I said to the officers last time, I said, yes, people will start to say, oh, they don't do anything and all they want to increase on all the thieving and stuff. We can't look at that at this point in time. The reality is that our officers and arms of national security would have worked their behinds off for the COVID. They've gone way beyond the call. And if we don't appreciate our officers and appreciate what they have done, this cannot be accepted. And as a political leader, I am not going to accept it. It's either the officers do their go slow, and I will support them for that, but it has a chain reaction because the country will then shut down, because when you have to go to work and you're in traffic, this is what is going to happen. So I believe that they should go back to the drawing board and recant that statement and see how best we could find suitable solutions. At least if the officers and them even said, if they got the 2% still, at least they will still be appreciated. And it's not that they don't appreciate the 0%, you know. They don't appreciate the comments that the Prime Minister and other ministers are making in regards to that. So at least if they would have got the 2%, they would have felt appreciated and they would have worked with that for now. But the depreciation of their work and their value towards the country and the protecting of the citizens, that is what the officers are fighting for.
Do you think that the government and the Minister of National Security is taking police officers for granted?
Yes, they are. Because if these officers step down and they put down their guns, we're going to have chaos in this country. We're going to have crime. We're going to have the officers are the same officers of special branch who has to protect the Prime Minister and the same Minister of National Security. So if they decide to put down their guns and put down their work and stop working, who will protect them? They are taking these officers and taking the citizens for granted. And mind you, yes, the government would have done so much to help the country and help the citizens fighting through this COVID, but enough is enough. The disrespect has to stop, and our officers, as the leader to unity of the people, I said to them last night, I do not condone certain things that are happening, but I'm taking a stand with you. And you also have to take a stand for yourself, because if your union leaders cannot represent you, you have to take it upon yourself to represent yourself. And this is where democracy starts.
What are the possible outcomes of this situation? How does the TTPS plans, or are there any plans to challenge this revelation?
Well, so far I cannot speak for the TTPS because I'm not in charge of the TTPS, but speaking to some of the officers, all they feel is just a disrespect, and it's going to look at this scenario of they're going to go slow, or they're going to have a roadblock, or they're going to go do what they do in the past and slow down the country. And as I said, if this isn't fixed properly as yet, it's going to happen, right? I can't say nothing on the TTPS count, but we all know what happens when the TTPS is challenged and what goes on in the service. So I am calling on the acting commissioner of police to stand strong and firm for your officers. You are the head, and you're supposed to defend your officers, and I'm calling on you to not be politically motivated to accept this and to stand up for your officers. If they cannot stand up for the officers, even though I have to come and march in front of the Minister of National Security by myself, I will do so with the officers who want to stand up for their democracy, because we have to be mindful that if they strike, it affects the country and affects the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago.
It's very interesting that you made the comment and said we all know how the TTPS would react if they are being challenged. So my next question is, do you believe that citizens may face situations of victimization based on the discomfort and disrespect that they are themselves facing in their own backyards? Do we have to be on the lookout?
Sorry, I didn't hear the last question. What did you say?
So I asked you, based on the comment you made as regards to the TTPS, how they react if they are being challenged. Do you believe, in your own opinion, that cases of victimization against civilians would be something that would impact us based on the fact that they are feeling disrespected and uncomfortable in their own backyard? Should we as civilians be on the lookout, or should we be in a situation where we are looking over our backs?
I wouldn't say that, because that's a broad statement in regards to we seeing some of the things that are happening when you talk about police brutality and stuff. That's not the case right now. With the case in regards to what I said, retaliation meaning that they will go slow, or they will actually do their duties where they will stop and search and they will hold back the traffic. Those are the things that I'm talking about. In regards to the citizens or abusing the citizens, that is upon a situation that happens or what will happen. I can't say and speak to that. But I want to make it abundantly clear, as I said, in terms of retaliation, or maybe the word retaliation, not the word for it, but in a fight back against the rejection of an increase, we have to look out for roadblocks. We have to look out for a slow process in the work and the duties of the officers, or we're going to see traffic coming along. That is what I'm speaking about. I can't speak in regards to their duties to the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago and how they treat with certain citizens, because we know there's a lot of criminal elements out there and they have their jobs to do and they know what they do.
All right, I want to switch the conversation just a little bit to Tobago. We heard over the weekend that the Chief Secretary said CPEP workers will can expect an increase in the near future. What are your reactions to this?
I accept this, because let me just say this: the CPEP and the URP, they have been undermined for the longest while. They have been used as political tools for the elections, because it's either, if you don't vote for me, we wouldn't increase the pay or we wouldn't hire you back. So I side with the Chief Secretary's improvement in regards to salary increase, but we also have to have value for money. And for why I say that is that sometimes when you go and you walk around, sometimes when you leave early in the morning, you see them sitting on the road with rum in their hand, and production of the work. So I am saying I will accept, and I do accept the increase for the CPF and the URP. It's about time, but there must be value for money. If they have to increase their hours of work to 7 to 11 and the money is in line with that time period, yes, let it be done. I do fully accept the Chief Secretary's endorsement, or I do endorse him in that regard, but there must be value for money. And we need to see that across the board, and not just only the increase in CPF and URP, but the increase in other departments if there is increase to come. And the CPO should also look at this, because if the CPF and URP are getting increased, then everybody else will then say they want increase, and we'll now have a situation on hand where everybody wants an increase and they work hard for that increase. But as I said, value for money, we need to see more production from the CPEP, and a longer extended hours from 7 to 11 should be added on as well to that.
With all the challenges that individuals are facing, we just saw recently that some of TSC workers were, given notices that their services were no longer needed. With the set of increases in terms of food prices raising, and now we have this situation with the TTPS. What words of encouragement, or what can you tell persons looking on, give them some motivation? Like, what could you tell them in these trying times to keep moving forward?
Now, to be honest with you, as much as I could sit here and say hold strong and hold firm, we don't feel their pain and we don't know what they feel. And I could tell you for a fact that the amount of calls on the persons that have been reaching out to help and assist, there's no words can describe how they feel. What I can say to them is find other source of income or find other ways and means of surviving, doing it the right way. There are opportunities that we have outside. If you have to leave outside to make it or find some other way, do it. I am not going to encourage anybody to just sit and give them any words of encouragement, because I tell you, as a political leader, not getting rest and me getting into politics, it is even harder being an ambassador for an NGO to being a politician, because the amount of calls you have. Up to last night, I think this morning, a woman calling and she's on the phone crying, and I don't even know how to tell her. She says she has nothing in the fridge, nothing at all. So all I had to say to her is that this morning I'm going to just find some way to help her this morning, and then from going forward we have to find a solution. We have to find solutions instead of sending home people. There must be other departments or other places that they could work, because at the end of the day, or have a discussion with them. Have a discussion and say, well, okay, listen what's going on. Right now, TSCT in a little jam. We could, instead of giving you a salary for 7,000, we're cutting you for 3,000. But we got all of that. Let me just work to find a solution going forward. But you're just cutting. And it is going to be harder on the government, because when TSCT and other companies do this, then people now rely on the government for social grants, and the debts for the government or the debts to the country becomes even greater. So I believe there's a disconnect on all ends, where TSCT should talk to the communication workers unit. They should have a conversation with the government, with the Minister of Finance, and find amicable solutions instead of releasing people. So therefore now we could have a better understanding of, okay, I give you 3,000 this month, and we have to do that for the next 6 months, because we need to realign the TSTT, realign the payments, and you also have to look at the salary wages for some of these people, like a manager, for example. Let's say a manager is getting $50,000 plus all these things. Cut it down. We have to start the cut from the top, not just cutting the workers who were there for 10 and 15 years. So that is my suggestion and solutions to going forward in regards to the cut that we're happening. We have to look and find ways, because we're making it hard on the government to now have people rely on social grants and social funds that are supposed to be given to them.
All right, and one more thing. As we're going about into this month, and you know at the end of the month, the THA is supposed to be submitting, making their budget presentation. What is one thing, or what is your most prioritized thing that you think that the THA should include in their budget?
Youth development and youth entrepreneurship, and also job availability. We also have to look at the tourism sector and reboosting the tourism sector as much as possible the right way. Those are most of the two things. We also have to look at the health sector. I see Dr. Faith is doing a great job so far, but there's a lot more work that needs to be done. But three things that I'm looking for is job availability, entrepreneurship development, and future development for the young people. And we also have to look at the tourism factor in the tourism sector and trying to redevelop the tourism going forward after COVID. One of the other things that you need to add to that also is regards to our energy sector on the island. And if there is an energy sector and possible ways of looking at moving forward on the development or the social development of the people of the island of Tobago.
Right. Thank you so much, Nkosi Phillips, political leader of the Unity of the People, for speaking with us this morning on just some of the things that are happening in our space. All right. So Denise here, well, our Tobago Updates coverage today is not over with the show. We have another thing coming up at 9 o'clock.
Yes, we will be at the Shore Parks Cultural Complex, and we are going to be there bringing you the live coverage of the Division of Food Security, Natural Resources, the Environment and Sustainable Development invites all to farmers and agro-processors meeting and consultations. So we are going to bring to you live coverage. As I said yesterday, you know, knowledge is power, and with so many things happening in our space and, you know, the environment that we in, you know, it's very important to have the information in terms of how we could go about making that money for ourselves. You know, as the leader of the Unity of the People, she suggests that, you know, sometimes we can't sit around and wait on, you know, the job or the government to give us something. We actually have to go and get it ourselves. And, you know, talking about that sometimes seems more simple and easier than actually doing it, because we know how setting up your own business, especially when you don't have the funds or the finances to do so, is a bit tedious and it's very stressful. So, you know, with all that is happening in our space and our interim and what is going on around us in our society, it's very important to try to actually, as you know, go back to the old saying, you're looking for it. You actually have to look for it. I know it may sound easy, but we're in a position where we have no other choice but to do so. And I don't want to limit our expectations to just here. You know, sometimes we actually have to go out there. You know, they have opportunities out there. It may take a little bit more time. It may take a little longer than what our target goal is. But sometimes we need to actually move from our comfort zone and go into a realm where we may not be comforted, or we may not have that shoulder to rely on. We actually have to stand on our own 2 feet to make it. So I want to encourage you all to come out and really listen and be engaged in the consultations. And if you are unavailable to do so, Tobago Updates will definitely bring to you live coverage from the Shore Park Cultural Complex starting at 9 a.m.
All right, so because be sure to tune in. It's going to be very interesting discussions. We're going to hear a bit more about, you know, from the farmers and the agro-processors themselves about some of their concerns and then what they think that need to be done. And it is an opportunity for you to listen and take from those farmers and then use that information to hold the policymakers to account. It's of course all part of that democratic process, and getting yourself involved in part of that democratic process, because democracy is not just about voting.
And you know, the thing about it is I actually saw persons, especially young people, young men, they are getting into farming. You know, they may not have a big plot that they could really work with, but they getting into it, whether it be lettuce, whether it be tomatoes, you know, whether it be pumpkin, and they really and truly putting their all into it, because not only is it helping them financially, but it's actually a passion of theirs, you know. So even if you think about getting into farming, but you probably don't know exactly how to, because you don't have the resources or persons that are around you that is a part of that specific field, you know, still come out and listen and hear and really and be engaged in the conversations. Take away something from it, you know. It will definitely help you, if not now, somewhere later down in life.
All right, so thank you viewers for joining with us this morning. It was such a pleasure to be having these conversations with you.
As I say, always stay safe.
Tobago updates.
We'll see you again.
Good morning, Tobago. Wake up with Candace and Denasia.
Let's go. It's a brand new morning. Rise up to a brand new dawning. As the passion start to rise, the energy fill the sky.